What's up, everybody? I'm back with another video. As you can see, I finally got water in the tank and I mixed in the salt. So this video is gonna basically be about, I'm gonna touch a little bit on how I did that, and then I'm gonna go over some changes that I've made to the sump. Alright, so I've got my water testing at about 1.025 specific gravity and 34 parts per thousand salinity. And I don't know if there's really an exact science to get there. I can tell you that the salt that I use, which is this Seachem Reef salt, is a half a cup per gallon. I mean, that's a good starting point. I did that. I still had to add salt. Basically, you're just gonna be adding a little bit, testing, adding a little bit until you get it right. When I added the salt, I pointed all my power heads down like this to prevent the salt from gathering on the bottom, and it worked pretty well. I still go in there and mix it up a little. You can see it on the side still a little bit. Okay, so we're down in the sump, and I'm just going to start from the left and just go over everything I've done. So we'll start with auto top off. The auto top off is basically the same. I've installed the float switch over here, and it's been working perfectly so far. I have no complaints about it. The wires run back behind and they plug in back there. Alright, now let's move to the skimmer. This is an area that I made a lot of mistakes, and that's just because I'm a beginner and it was my first time. The biggest mistake I made is that when I got the water in the tank and I put the skimmer in there, I turned it right on, set it to what I thought was right, and then left it and went to bed, and woke up the next morning to a bunch of water all over the ground, about 5 gallons worth. The reason for that was because I set the skimmer pretty high, like up in the cup. And there's nothing really to be skimmed out right now, so it was just water. And the water level kept rising, and it all kept going into the cup and draining down the tube into my collection container, which isn't there right now. Took it out so you could see. But what happened was it overflowed, filled up the collection container, that started overflowing, and then as the water in the tank got lower, the auto top off system kicked in and pumped all 5 gallons in, and all of it ended up going on the floor. So that was number one. That could have been easily avoided had I just done things the right way. Alright, one of the modifications that I made is I put this ball valve here on the skimmer in the line because I wanted to have control over, the amount of water that's going in there, because that's a 950 that's pumping it right now. And another change I made is that you can see I put 4 big blue bio balls in the downdraft part there, because in the manual, well, online actually, it said if you're using a larger pump like 900 or above, you should have big bio balls instead of the small ones. It comes with like 12 small bio balls that go in there. So I did that, and it seems like it's working better, I guess. Also, it says it works in about 11 inches of water, and it was sitting in about 12. So I just put, it might be kind of hard to see, but it's not actually at the bottom of the tank. I just put a plastic, like an extra return, flow director. I just put it underneath there, so now it's at about 10.5 inches. And it seems like it's working better. Everything seems like it's dialed in now. I have it set kind of low because I don't want, nothing's getting skimmed out. I don't want water just to be getting pumped out for no reason. There's nothing in the system. But one of the things that started happening, you just gotta let it break in, and that's one of the things I didn't really know that much about. There's a break-in period for all skimmers, and it has to do with the chemicals that are in the inside of it from the factory, and I don't know, it just has to get used to the system, I guess. But after about 4 days, it started, now I've got real nice bubbles down here, and you can actually see It's hard because it's really close to the water line in the tank, but right here is the water line inside the skimmer. And you can actually, you can see it differentiates now, and it wasn't before. But it all looks good now. Alright, so back behind here is the tank return. And you can see it's pumping out tons and tons of bubbles. And the biggest problem I'm having with my tank right now is micro bubbles. They're all over the place in the main display, down here, they're everywhere. And it was just a bag for like putting carbon in, and I had that as like a filter sock, and that was just making even more micro bubbles because they were just getting broken up as they were going through there. So what I'm going to do is get an actual filter sock from the fish store. I don't have one yet, but there's nothing on it right now, and that's why. I've added some foam here. That's just to help with the micro bubble problem too. And this all might change once I put something in it has a bio load. I don't really know. But what I'm going to do is, if it keeps persisting, is add another baffle here. That's one thing I can say that I don't really like about this sump, is that there's not really any baffles. So I'm going to probably add one here and try to, I don't know, get rid of some of those bubbles. Back here on the return line, well, the drain line when it comes from the tank, I was getting like a little bit of leaking. This is really the only area that I had it, so I just went ahead and used some silicone on there and just sealed it up. And you want to make sure that you're using, this is what I use, it's just DAP all-purpose adhesive sealant, 100% silicone. But you got to make sure it says Aquarium safe on it. So that's what I used. So I haven't had any leaks after that, so I think it's good. Okay, now we're into the Refugium section. And what that is there is just, I had an extra pump, a little one, so I put it inside like a Tupperware container and just zipped some mesh onto the top, and it's just like a circulation pump for down here, because I'm gonna have critters down here and maybe some fish, you know, if I have to. So I wanted some water circulation down there. The water flow is pretty good, you can see by the bubbles up there, but I was just worried that down here was just kind of stagnant, so I put that in, and I might take it out. I don't really know if I don't have enough room. We'll see. And then back there I've got all my digital aquatics, my ORP, temperature, and pH probes, and they just run over here behind the return line up there into like a little cord ball, and then over to my SL1 here. And you know, you got to calibrate them when you get them, but they've all been working really well. I don't have any complaints there either. Alright, so now we're into the last compartment here where the return pump is. And one of the major changes I made here is I used to have a piece of foam, then the activated carbon in a bag in between it, and then more foam. What I did was I took the carbon out and just put it down here in the bag. The reason is because what was happening was the foam was originally up to like about here, and the water was just running straight over it and into the chamber, which was rendering this basically pointless, you know. So I took it out, and I think that it was kind of restricting the flow of the water too. I took it out, and now it looks real good. I got a nice little waterfall thing going. All the water's going through, which should help with the micro bubbles too. Alright, so another thing I've done is I rerouted the tube. It used to go behind that strut in the back, the intake for the chiller pump. The reason I did that is because I needed it to be longer so that it could go all the way down to the bottom of this chamber, because it wasn't before. It was about halfway, and what was happening was every time the water got low, the float switch is maxed out. It's as low as it can go. So the the water was going below the intake and breaking the siphon because my pump's external over here. You know, you have to have a siphon going for it to be sucking out water. And the siphon would break, and then the water would just stop getting pumped, and it made a really annoying sound, number one, and number two, it's bad for the pump, and the water wasn't getting chilled. So that's why I did that. Alright, so the return line coming up, I added another ball valve here, and it's turned way down now, and that was just an attempt also to reduce the micro bubbles coming out from the drain, because there's less water, you know. And also it slows down the flow here so that the water isn't gonna come and fly over this other wall because it's moving too fast. So it's been working out pretty well. I still have micro bubbles in the tank, but I'm gonna wait until I get some rock in there and kind of just see what happens. And if it's not fixed, then I guess I'm gonna have to add baffles. But I think that's it for down here. Alright, so that's where I'm at right now. The rock and the sand are set to get here any day now. So I'll be putting up a video probably of the unboxing of it, putting it in, and aquascaping. So thanks for watching.